Hi. On our play for this week, is Starfield, along with Xbox biggest hits, coming to PlayStation 5? Will the Xbox Series X be the last Microsoft console? Mm. Is the Nintendo Super Switch 2 revealed sooner than we think? That's one of the names that's been going online. It's interesting. But two leakers believe so. So we'll get on that. Disney wants a Fortnite verse? Based on Ubisoft's CEO math, Skull and Bones is a not double A, not triple A, a quadruple A game.
I want what
What?
he's sniffing.
Right? Like, what? All right, all this and more on season 8, episode 6 of Press X Start Gamers Digest. Mm, mm, mm. What's up, everyone? I'm your host, DJ, aka Sexy Bad Choices, aka my ship is called the Herald of Supremacy in Helldivers 2. That game is so much
Oh, you
fun.
got a ship?
You got a ship too, yeah.
I want a
But
ship.
it's just like a hub. That's all. It doesn't really do anything other than like a hub that your people go to when you're playing with people or going.
You got a
You go
hub?
to other people's ships.
I want
Yeah,
a hub.
it's super crazy. Well, who are you, by the way?
I am Sean MF Ross.
What does that M and F stand for?
Hubless behavior.
That's all Helldivers 2 is helpless behavior. Great.
Hmm.
All right. Now you know who we are. Press X Start Gamers Digest is a video podcast and condenses the most important gaming news from this past week into an hour-long meal just for you. We're live on YouTube every Sunday. Period. What's up, YouTube? You good? Good. Don't forget, you can support us by liking the video, subscribing to the channel, and hit the notification bell. If you are listening, we greatly appreciate you leaving us a review on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or the podcast services you are currently tuned in on. And if you want, you can join our conversations by joining our Discord at pressx2start.com/Discord. Yeah, join it. It's pretty cool. It's fun times. All right. This week has been a roller coaster ride if you own a console in your living room, in your room, anywhere in your house, and if that console is an Xbox console. All right. Number one. Okay, so let's do some backstory. Earlier this past week, there was a rumor that Xbox will be some of their big games was going to be coming to other
I think it
platforms.
started with Hi-Fi Rush and then
Yes,
something
because
else.
It was Hi-Fi Rush and Sea of Thieves, and
Ah,
then the rumor extended to Starfield, and
mm.
it just kind of ballooned from there. But I'm
As they
gonna
say, the rumor has been around the world twice before the truth can get his pants on.
Hey, oh yeah, you're not wrong. Yeah, that's actually about right in terms of how quickly the rumor spread versus how slow Microsoft responded to this thing. So we're just going to start with this one article from WccFTech. This is kind of in the middle of the whole rumor mill. Microsoft isn't going fully platform or exiting the console market, says leaker. This from Alicio Palumbo. Okay. So this week starts with a lot of high-profile rumors suggesting that Microsoft will soon switch its strategy on exclusive games. Following the previous rumors of titles like Sea of Thieves and Hi-Fi Rush, we heard from some various journalists, leakers, and insiders that big games like Bethesda's Starfield, Machine Games' Indiana Jones and the Great Circle, and possibly even the Coalition's Gears of War will be landing on other consoles like Sony's PlayStation and Nintendo Switch. And Nintendo Switch too. I mean, we know it's not coming to Switch, guys. Come on now. Leaker Nate the Hate was among those who reported to have. There's a Tekken 8 like ad right below this text, and all I want to do is watch Paul and King fight. I'm trying not to. Jeez. All right. Uh, So, okay, leaker Nate the Hate was among those who reported to have heard about Starfield. However, he clarified some things in a series of tweets posted a few hours ago. Of course, this is in the past. I do want to emphasize that though I heard similar, one should still treat these as a rumor. As noted above, I didn't want to report on it until a release window was finalized, meaning plans remained open to change. Um, so the tweets are Microsoft will bring select games multi-platform that I have confidence in. People are making wild assumptions that every game is going multi-plat, which is not the case, nor is Microsoft going to exit the hardware industry. The multi-plat strategy is a slight shift in strategy, in which some titles go multi-platform. Microsoft will keep high-profile games exclusive. Um,
I'd be
yeah.
interested in seeing if they do like a simultaneous Game Pass slash release on PlayStation high profile game to see what the numbers look like.
Yeah, yeah.
Like,
So,
of course, there'll be more playing on Game Pass because it's free,
well,
aka included.
I'm just going to bring this in because that's a great segue, actually, in terms of your curiosity in terms of what the numbers will be. The numbers will probably be higher on PlayStation because newly revealed sales data suggests that PlayStation has outsold Xbox Series X/X 2 to 1.
Mm.
So that's evidence. And then we also had talked about last week that PlayStation or that Xbox, their console sales are lower than expected or some flourish they put on it. And it's the whole thing of there is just more PlayStation consoles out there, but that's also because PlayStation has done a great job at promoting their consoles as a place to play
Which is
PlayStation
also
games.
interesting because the Series S outsold the X 2 to 1.
Hmm.
So
Hmm. There really isn't that many X's.
that'd make about 18 million. Because they're saying 77 million in this article. So I'd make about 18 million Series S's versus what's left? 9 million Series X's
Right.
versus
Yeah.
50 to 1. That is
That's wild. But I mean, like
that's a good
this,
attach rate for Starfield then, because that looks like a third of. They were saying at one point like 10 million players, so that's like almost a third. You know what?
well,
I'm not
you
counting
have to,
PC though. I'm not
yeah,
counting
you
PC.
gotta count PC, yeah,
Still
yeah,
a good
and that's
attach
like,
rate though.
yeah, and it's one of those things where it's just like when you put the puzzle pieces together, it definitely makes sense why Xbox is shifting strategies in this way, and that like, okay, well,
If
we
they are.
need to, well, yeah, if they are, although I will go ahead and say right now, I definitely see this as being the case. I just lost Sean.
Oh yeah. Let me fix
Oh,
myself.
oh. He'll be back momentarily, but you can hear my voice, everybody. I definitely see this being the case. I just want to point back to last year when we saw. Oh, you're back. Okay, cool. When we saw Marvel's Blade, there
Mhm.
was no marking on that trailer
DJ
for
would
it
not
being
let that
an
go.
Xbox game. I did not let that go. I was like, that is super weird for Microsoft/Xbox's trillion-dollar company to put a trailer out without finalizing Game Pass deals. And even I guess Xbox at the time didn't clarify, or Bethesda didn't clarify. One of them didn't clear, not Bethesda, Arcane didn't clarify what that was about. And now that time passed and we see this, I'm like, hey guys, we're gonna be able to play Blade on PlayStation. Like,
Yeah, because I mean, let me see. What's the sales numbers for like? I'm curious. Spider-Man
like
2 sales numbers.
that makes the most sense to me. Like, oftentimes as the great I don't know who said this quote. The simplest thing is usually the solution.
So they
Um,
sold Spider-Man 2 sold over 5 million in 11 days. I'm sure the number is higher now.
mhm, yeah,
I don't
yeah,
see them selling 5 million. I mean, unless of course it's going to be on Game Pass, and then people will try it out. But I mean,
yeah. But
I want to say when you intentionally spend money on a game, you're actually going to play the game. Versus if you're a lot of people playing it for free, they may play the first level and then, is
yeah,
that a waste of money at that point for the company if you're spending all this time making all this art levels, AI, not AI, but you know what I mean, like
mm,
enemy uh, behavior. I don't know the word I want to use, and people are just spending because they're spending not even an hour with the game. I think like Starfield released, or somebody released some stat with Starfield where a lot of people didn't get past the first couple of missions.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like the you position the marketing to, of course, emphasize the biggest number, but that's also that sometimes
Hmm.
don't really tell the truth about like what's happening. Where like Starfield did have like the 10,000 players or whatever, but like yeah, like how many of those players actually played the game past the first tutorial mission or whatever? And like if you have the game on Game Pass, of course, anyone's just going to be like, yeah, let me jump into this thing and see what this is about, even though they
Yeah,
have no
here
idea
it
what
is. 20,
Starfield is.
25% of Starfield Xbox players haven't even made it to space.
Yeah. Yeah. So like, yeah, that all kind of lines up to me. And then just yeah, it's the other thing to note is way back when I brought this up at some point again, way back when what happened?
I was just looking because this article mirrors what I just said. If you look at the
Mhm.
Steam Starfield achievements, uh, the unlock percentage for that is higher at 88%. So only 10%, 12% of people didn't get to space. And it says one
Okay.
of the reasons it may be higher is because they have to buy the game, so they may be more invested.
Good point. Good point. So yeah, so like so two things. The first thing I was gonna say is that like looking back when Xbox had put out that weird graphic about these games are exclusive, these games are
Hmm.
multi-platform, and it was like a sliding scale or whatever. Like they made it very clear that certain games will be exclusive, certain games will be multi-platform, and they
Yeah.
never really had to go back to that or talk to that all that much since then. But like I think now we're in a place, or they're in a place where they need to talk about that because it's gonna be a problem. And then just to go back to the whole Marvel putting making this deal with Arcane Studio to make Marvel's Blade, I think even Marvel is looking at this as okay, well, if you want this to be an exclusive deal, you have to have numbers to prove to us that we're going to make money off of this. And I don't think Xbox or Microsoft could produce those numbers, which
I mean, they
got
would just
to
have
that
to
weird.
pay them outright, at least an equivalent of what they thought it would sell on PlayStation.
I mean, yeah, exactly. And I think what ended up happening there was like Xbox was like, okay, well, we'll allow it to go multi-platform because technically that's part of our strategy, but we won't talk about that until later on, and we'll probably do like 6 months exclusivity or a year exclusivity, whatever. But like I think they wanted to get that trailer to have a wow factor, but wanted to hide the like particulars of that contract because it's gonna look bad. So yeah. Okay. So yes. So the reason why this is most likely happening is because Microsoft, they want to be more of a service because that
Mm.
is a way for them to still maintain some kind of dominance in the games industry, but not necessarily have to compete with PlayStation numbers or Nintendo numbers. And that way, you know, they could also get their games on those other platforms that are doing
Mhm.
really well with how many consoles they have around worldwide and so on and so forth. Uh yeah, so it's a lot. But there's another rumor about so okay, so the next question was is this going because Microsoft is doing this switch, is this going to be the last Xbox console ever? Like for
Nah,
all in perpetuity.
it's too early for that. Our
Exactly.
internet infrastructure in the US isn't robust enough. It doesn't touch on everybody equally.
Exactly.
Touch on everybody. Um, we're just not there yet. As I keep on banging on the drum with data caps, speeds, and all that. I was trying to play my Portal over at my in-laws' house, and their Wi-Fi, for lack of a better word, it just sucks. They're on the old.
Mhm.
They have the old router that came with their service. It's on the old Wi-Fi 4 standard, I
Like
think, or something like that.
2.4. Yeah.
I had a better experience just playing straight 5G on my phone versus trying to play Wi-Fi in the house.
Wow. Wow.
So people need consoles.
Yeah.
They can't
Yeah.
stream shit just yet. Not
Yeah.
everybody anyway.
No, that's absolutely right. And I think Xbox knows that because this comes from WccFTech.
Hmm.
Next generation Xbox to launch in two SKUs. A cheaper SKU would be a dockable handheld capable of playing games natively. So this comes to us by way of Francisco de Mio. 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 All right. Speaking during the latest episode of XNC Xbox Newscast podcast, middle-aged game guy, that's a name right there,
Hmm.
commented on the next Xbox or the next Microsoft console, says that it is still on track for 2026. Interesting release, and that will launch in two different SKUs. The most expensive SKU will be a traditional game console like the Xbox One and the Xbox Series X, while the cheapest SKU will be a dockable handheld in the vein of the Nintendo Switch created by the Surface team, which with built-in controls and a touchscreen supporting cloud gaming that is capable of running Xbox games natively.
Um,
So,
I don't see that being too far fetched when we got shit like the Steam and the ROG Ally and the Lenovo Legion and blah 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 and whatever. Like, I don't think that's. If you would have said this 5 6 years ago, then yeah, it would seem far fetched. Looking at the power of the Switch and what we had
yeah.
to go off of at the time, but now, sure, why not? It's not that far fetched.
I'll even say like if you said this before the Steam Deck launch, it'd been
Hmm.
like, no way, no way. But like the Steam Deck pretty much showed the entire industry that we can do like really good looking handheld games.
Yeah.
And then on top and after Steam Deck, we had Lenovo, we had ROG Ally, we
Mhm.
have there's like another couple of them out.
Yeah.
And then even PlayStation was like, okay, yeah, I guess these handheld things, we need to do something. And they released their Portal, which is not the same thing as this, but it
Yeah.
is, also a footstep into that market. And then, last week or the week before, we talked about PlayStation also working on a handheld. So it's just
I'm
like,
still playing it more than a month later, Jordan.
you got him. So yeah, I mean, hey, in all honesty, probably by the end of the year, you'll be able to play Hi-Fi Rush on your portal.
Mhm.
So it is a thing of like, if you're just reading the tea leaves of the market, this makes sense for the bigger consoles to make a handheld because we have evidence of how well it does, and the fact that Nintendo, the Switch, is the least most powerful of the three, you know, um, mass market consoles out there, yet it does numbers
I
because
wouldn't compare them. They're a different beast. They're their own thing.
they are, but like at the same time, it's no matter how many people are like, man, the graphics on the Switch sucks, it just still keeps selling, just keeps selling. It's just like,
I'm telling you, it's a different thing. They can release shit on a stick, but if it could play Pokemon, hey man, it's printing money. Like, I wouldn't include Nintendo in this conversation just because they're just
okay,
different.
all right,
They lean on at least they have. I want to say 5 6 maybe 7 tentpole franchises that it doesn't matter what the system looks like. You're there playing for the gameplay, not
that's
the
true, that's
graphics.
true, that's that. I mean, yeah, you're right,
If it
especially
looks
because
great, cool, but that's not their main. You know.
reason why they're getting, yeah, because I believe um Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, the worst performance wise game out of the bunch, is
Mhm.
outselling the past highest. I think that was Sword and Shield. I
Yeah.
think that's right. So like, yeah, it is thing of like, is that a Pokemon game? I'm gonna buy it. Do I need a Switch to buy it? I'm buying the Switch. And it's like not even really a thing that they're
The
thinking about.
definition of a system seller. Halo used to
Hmm.
be that.
Used to. Yeah. Yeah, those were the days, right? All right, so here's another rumor. This was on Reddit. Yeah, the source. I don't really have a source on this. The source was like from a newsletter from another person. It seems about right. Okay. This from Reddit. Xbox held an internal town hall on Tuesday, which is last Tuesday, where Phil Spencer reassured employees about the future of Xbox console hardware. The company held an internal Tuesday town hall where Spencer told employees that there were no plans to stop making consoles and that Xboxes would continue to be part of the strategy that involves multiple kinds of devices. Xbox did not immediately return a request for comment. So this kind of aligns with the rumor we just heard about them, talking about their next console launch. And again, way back when, during the Activision Blizzard stuff, when we saw those documents, they had talked
Mhm.
about a console as well. So it definitely does feel like, no, this is not the last time you'll be playing an Xbox console. They will indeed be here for the future. It's just their games will be maybe not always exclusive to the Xbox. And it's just like, if that's what they have to do to, you know, stick around, then let it be that then. Although the one thing I have seen a lot in terms of we got did you check the chat, Sean? The YouTube.
Oh,
You got a compliment.
oh, I thank you.
Yeah.
I
Um
spent his whole diver's money on this hairline.
right. um but yeah, it's a thing of like, you know, this is what Xbox has to do. At least this is what Xbox has to do right now with Phil Spencer heading the ship. Once
Yeah.
someone else takes over, the whole thing can change. Like we've seen that happen before with PlayStation, in terms of PlayStation used to be the place for indie games, and then it was no longer the place of indie games. They started like getting out of the PS3 era to PS4 era. Like that stuff can change. So right now, this is just where we are with Xbox. And you know, I
I
I
think
will
more
say,
people are just making indie games on mobile because they're more lucrative. Not
yeah.
necessarily that it wasn't cool to make on, the PlayStation and Xbox. They're easier to make and they're more lucrative because you just slap ads under the bottom. You can't do that on
Well, I'm more so talking about development wise, where
mhm,
PlayStation was actually
porting.
holding a hand out, helping
Yeah.
them like do stuff, and then like that kind of stopped. Like PlayStation, I think the first PlayStation 4 thing had a indie like showcase part of their like PlayStation showcase, and then by the end of the
Ah,
PlayStation 4
yeah,
era, that was gone completely, and it was just like these are all AAA games, and it's just like that that hurts for those people who you know was drawn to PlayStation for those indie games, and then like Xbox sort of
You
became the
know,
place
I,
for
I
indie
I think
games.
they're just not pointing it out as much because I mean,
I mean, but
Kenna
that's
was a quote unquote indie game. Uh, what's that damn game I just played? Chia was a mostly indie game.
mhm,
Like I think they're
yeah.
just not pointing it out as much as they used to.
Well, yeah, I mean, but that's sort of the thing. Like they're
Mm.
no longer, their focus isn't to highlight those indie games, even though those indie games are still being developed for PlayStation. PlayStation is just like, now check this Last of Us 2 remaster thing. Like that's where
I
you need to
mean,
spend the money, people.
I think it's nice that they're treating them like big budget games and advertising them along their other AAA games, though. Instead of here's a handout, this is an indie game, focus on them. Some people turn their brain off when they hear indie. Look at Cameron talking about he's
Well,
not gonna play no baby boo boo ass games. He's here for them graphics and
I
shit.
mean, I will say that that is true in terms of some people turn off, but I think the overall thing is that when PlayStation puts out a game,
Hmm.
you know, I was going to say everybody, but not necessarily everybody, but like a lot of people look at that. So if
I guess.
PlayStation, is throwing it on the store, but not actually showing it off in a showcase, although it's on the store, there's a lot less eyes that just sees that game anymore. And I think for some indie developers, when they saw that PS in that PS4 showcase where they showed a bunch of indie games, they're like, oh, PlayStation is actually like showing off like these interesting indie games. Let me jump into that. And then,
Actually, I have a webpage now that I look at it.
oh really?
PlayStation, .com/game/indies.
Okay.
Season was a indie apparently. Roller Drome was an indie.
Is the devil, was it Little Devil Inside or whatever? Is that on that list?
It ain't never
I don't
fucking
know.
coming out. They keep on teasing us. But
I don't know that game.
see, we forget this though. Sifu was an indie game. Stray was an
Yeah,
indie
Sifu.
game. I ain't even ever heard of these, but I mean, they're out
Mhm.
there.
Yeah. 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 Um, so yeah, so essentially where does this leaves us? We're recording this on Sunday. I think the town hall, not town hall, the 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 Xbox press conference to update us on their strategy, whatever is going to happen next week. I
Mm.
firmly believe they're going to say, "Hey guys, Xbox consoles aren't going away. Like we're you're fine. Like Xbox is still doing well. They're going to show some numbers, and it's going to be like, look, guys, we're fine, but we are going to release certain titles, and I honestly think it's going to be probably probably Starfield, Hi-Fi Rush, maybe Sea of probably Starfield and Hi-Fi Rush. We're gonna release these titles on PlayStation,
Yeah.
not now, next year." And it's like that. Actually, Hi-Fi Rush, they might do that this year. I think Starfield, they want to wait a little bit just because it's like their biggest game, and that means stuff to people to see that go away to PlayStation so quickly. Um, yeah, I feel like that's going to be the case because it is just like all these rumors don't just come out of nowhere. Like a lot of these rumors, the people who are saying this stuff are saying the same thing. So it's like
Mhm.
just kind of feels like this is just going to be the case. I don't see this being like Xbox saying, "All right, guys, we lost everything. We're closing up shop next week. Make sure you get all your games on Game Pass because Game Pass is still the best place to play games or whatever. I don't know, X, Y, and Z." And then Phil just like walks out into the darkness. That's not gonna happen. It's not gonna happen. But yeah, like do you see that being the case, or do you see it like happening a little differently to you?
Mm, I don't know. I think they're gonna hold up for as long as possible. I don't know why,
Hmm.
but they're gonna be vague for a while.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that definitely could be the case too. Like if they see this as like, oh crap, we don't have our messaging together. We're gonna say this thing to like kind of push the boat a little further, and then later on we'll figure it out. I don't know. We hope that we'll get like an actual direction from Xbox with this next showing. All right, so that's that, man. It's a whole crazy thing that happened this week. There was other stuff that happened, but this was like the big crazy thing. So let's get into the other stuff. But before we do that, hey, subscribe to this channel, like the video. As I said, subscribe to the channel. I'll say it twice to make sure you heard me the first and second time. Hit that notification bell too, because that will be very important, and you'll be able to see all the other stuff that we do in the future. Um, and if you're listening to this and you're not seeing this, then go ahead and just leave a review because we greatly appreciate that. Like a 4 or 5. Like if you could give 6 stars review, just do that as well. That'd be great. All right. Number 2. Wow. Nintendo Switch 2 will be revealed this March for autumn's launch, predicts insiders. This is a bunch of rumors, boy. All right. So this comes to us by way of Metro.co. I think it's just Metro.
Mhm.
By way of Game Central. So, two sources suggest that Nintendo's new console, the Nintendo Switch 2, that rumor or that title is still not confirmed,
Yeah.
could be revealed as early as this March. Although the full details will likely take longer to arrive. All right. So basically what they're saying is that there was rumors that there was going to be a Nintendo Direct, right?
Yeah.
And then those rumors changed from it being a Nintendo first party focus to it possibly being a um, Nintendo third party, or like a sponsor kind of direct, where it's just going to be like stuff, but not necessarily talking about like the next Metroid or the next Mario thing. And then that there's going to be another direct in March that reveals Nintendo Switch 2. And then on top of that, it shows the big games for Nintendo Switch 2 that we could possibly see this year. It's going to come out in the fall, guys. Like, that seems to be the current rumor, and a lot of people are kind of talking how that makes a lot of sense. I think in this past week, even Jeff Grubb weighed on it. He was saying that, that actually makes sense. Like, if this next direct that's supposed to be rumored for this week, if that's going to be a partner direct, then this lines up really well. So that's kind of where this is. I think that makes sense. I definitely do think we're going to get Nintendo Switch 2 this year. If they want to show it off in March and then drop it in fall, why not? I mean, there's not really that many big games coming out for the Switch right now. I think we have the Mario vs. Donkey Kong and the Princess Peach game.
Yeah.
I think that's it. So this kind of makes sense. What's your thoughts on this, John?
I still think March is too early to announce it. I don't know, maybe closer to the summer. We'll see.
Yeah.
Maybe they'll let Jeff Keighley reveal that shit or something, Something.
That would be interesting. That would be really interesting. I mean, you know what? It's very possible that if we don't get a direct next week, we could get a direct the first week in March, and at the end of the direct, they can say something like, "We have something special coming," and like that could push that line further into the summer, like into early spring or whatever, where they can. Is March spring?
I mean, it can
March
be.
spring. Okay. Or like late spring, early summer, where they're like, okay, well, now this is the thing we're showing, and then a couple months we have the actual release of the Switch 2. So I mean, that's definitely a possibility as well. But yeah, we'll see because we don't know just yet.
Yeah, I'm
All
looking
right.
at the upcoming games. Maybe they might announce that shit in March because I don't see any big games announced for later in the year. I mean, they already
Yeah.
got
So
out, Mario.
right.
Unless they're gonna come out with a Mario Odyssey 2 as a swan song for it, but we'll see.
Yeah. I don't know. So yeah, number 3, Disney invests $1.5 billion in Epic to create persistent universe tied to Fortnite. This comes to us by The Verge by way of Andrew Webster. Disney and Fortnite. Mark Maker, Epic Games. Okay, let me just restart. Disney and Fortnite maker Epic Games are teaming up to build what's being described as an expansive and open games and entertainment universe. So they're doing all they can to explain a metaverse without saying a metaverse, which I respect, because if you say a metaverse, everyone's going to shit on it immediately. As part of the announcement, Disney revealed that it is investing $1.5 billion in an equity stake in Epic. So what that means is that Epic and Disney are going to partner up to make this, to work on this project. And that will, because oftentimes when working with Disney, the issue is you might have you might have something to say, you might have like a question or whatever, and you have to ring Disney up to get their take on it before you can continue work on it. Like, you need to figure out this thing before you can continue working on whatever you're working on. So with this partnership, from what I had read into it, it'd be something like Disney would have people at Epic who are these, I guess, lore keepers, or these people who can answer those questions quicker and allow them to essentially just work on this thing at
How do I
an
apply for that
accelerated
job?
pace. How do you
Uh,
apply for that job?
A Disney lore person.
I think you'd have to be a princess at some point in your life.
Well, I mean, shit, it's 2024.
Yeah, you can. If you start on that now, you probably be good by like the end of 2024, and then you just apply 2025, you're good. You made it easy. I don't know if that's how that works. So details on what this metaverse-like project will look like are sparse, but here's how Disney explains it. Also, there's a whole video. I should have played the video on the YouTube thing. Huh. Oh, whatever. There's a video to this. You can check out the video. Actually, I might just try. Anyway, you can check out the video. Come on. So, yeah, in the video, there's like the Magic Kingdom's in the middle, and then you have like these islands that have different themes to them. So, like the island on the left has like Lucasfilms, Marvel, ESPN, Disney. You know what? I'm gonna put this video up. So what's your takes on all this?
I'm looking at the video. It looks nifty, but this ain't for me.
Yeah,
like I've had all the fun I'm gonna have with Fortnite-esque things. That's not my.
I
mean,
think that's.
I'm sure it's gonna be the bee's knees for somebody.
Mm-hmm. So I think that's actually one of the questions is like, what are you doing in this place? Because are you just gonna play like Fortnite like games where you're shooting people? And it's like, is that what Disney's gonna allow for this? Like that doesn't seem very Disney.
I'm trying to think. Didn't they have something like is Toontown their thing? Yeah, it is. Disney's Toontown Online. So this is probably going to be a new age Toontown Online. I don't know if you ever played that or remember that.
I think I did actually.
It was open back in 2001-ish, and they shut it down in 2013. And it was a 3D thing. Let me see. Use weapons referred to as gags, slapstick comedy items such as thrown cream pie to fight and destroy cops, discover businessmen who served as the game's antagonists. I mean, it's not an unprecedented thing to do a 3D thriving world like this. This is probably on this scale. It's probably new for them, but they've had something similar to this before.
Yeah.
You got what the hell is it in Kingdom Hearts? The shadow things that they fight. I don't remember.
The nobodies?
There you go. I mean, it's possible they have some shit like that in this game as the overarching villain, and you're not shooting with necessarily, guns and shotguns and stuff, but they'll figure something out.
I mean, that's a good point though. Like, it doesn't have to be
straight up Fortnite with Disney skin slapped over it.
Yeah. I found the trailer.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, it is. Let me actually put this on repeat real quick. So this is it's interesting. I think the best case scenario for this would be a really, really cool place to like load up and have like, for example, like you and Sean can jump into this and just like run around in this like giant
should be
area.
busy watching One Piece.
Right? She has to catch up.
But no, they say they can't wait for fans to experience the Disney stories and worlds they love in groundbreaking ways. This sounds like a rehash of Kingdom Hearts without Sora and company in there.
I mean, it's one of those things where like I almost think that it will be like the Disney the Disney Animal Crossing game that came out recently, where it's like it's I forget what it's called. If you type in Disney Animal Crossing game, it's gonna pop up. It's one of those things where it's like I feel like they're gonna want to make this a thing that you can walk around in. You can go to like attractions, almost like a Disney World, and
so
then like
funny enough, you say that shit. The game you're thinking of is Dreamlight Valley, but
that's what I'm talking about. Yeah.
So Dreamlight Valley came out. Okay, whatever.
Yeah, it came out.
So funny enough, I went to Disney October just passed, and a lot of the rides that they have there are just some of them are you just kind of sit down and you have this for lack of a better word, like a little laser. It's like a duck hunt game type shit you're doing at Disney
Mm-hmm.
World. And they have a
Yeah,
lot of games like that where you're in a stationary car just rolling through scenes of a movie and shooting little laser things. I can see them doing that with this Disney Epic World
I see.
to
Okay, okay.
replay scenes of the movies in new ways that you've never seen before.
Right, right, right. So I paused the trailer just to show.
Mm,
Actually, I can do a better job of pausing. Just to show like the, I guess, extent of this, and then like you do have, um, like, let me pull this. Okay, so you do have like ESPN. You have a Disney Plus zone. You can't really see it with the sky, but like there's Marvel Tower, there's Lucasfilms, and then you got like at the bottom you have Wreck-It Ralph and like other stuff. So
mm.
I think it's interesting how they're going to split off the different properties, but it definitely does feel like, oh, this is going to be like a Disney World kind of thing. And then my thing is like, is this doable now? Yes, I think this is totally doable now with
Yeah.
the technology we have and like the server power or whatever that we have. I just wonder how long this is going to last,
For as long
because
as people buy that Disney Battle Pass. Uh
that's the thing. Like, where does the money side come into this? Like, what are you going to be paying for?
Skins,
Like,
I guess. It won't last long, just like so like when I pointed out Red Dead Online,
mm,
the aesthetic and scope is limited compared to what they can do with GTA Online. There's no limits with GTA Online, and there's no limits with Fortnite as to what they're willing to collaborate with and throw in that game.
yeah,
Disney has a, what's the word I want to use? Morality. They're gonna try to keep it kid friendly for the
yeah,
most part.
yeah,
Not to say that Fortnite isn't, but there's a certain aesthetic that Disney is gonna stick to, or uh, you're not gonna see Naruto and Goku in this Disney world the same way you would Fortnite.
yeah.
So we'll see how long it lasts.
Yeah, I mean, I think that is a solid point about this being, this would have to be so hyper focused into Disney that, I mean, Disney does have IP that it could pull from, but it is the question of like, all right, well, how profitable is that? Like, is it going to draw people in if they pull out like the Iron Giant or whatever? Is that a Disney thing? Is that even
Mm,
Disney? I
let
don't
me
know if
see.
that's Disney or not. But if they like Big Hero 6, which like it was popular enough to be in Kingdom Hearts 3 or whatever, but
Yeah,
like does it still have that same resonance to bring people to this
I didn't even see
Disney
that.
Fortnite space? You didn't see
Uh,
Big Hero 6? I think it
nah.
was fine. I think it was fine. I was too
The
old for it.
Iron Giant does not look to be Disney. I
Okay.
am
Well.
surprised that they had. I knew Vin Diesel was in there. I'm surprised Jennifer Aniston was in there. Interesting. The Iron
Oh,
Giant
wasn't
is
Vin Diesel the
Warner Brothers.
giant?
Yeah,
I
it's
think
a
it
Warner
is.
Brothers property.
Oh, okay, okay, okay. So yeah, it's like this is really interesting. And then like, we say all this Disney, 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 but ESPN is there. So it's just like, is that gonna be a bar? Is that gonna be gated to people who are only 21 and up
I mean,
to go into the bar to watch the game? I mean, they'll probably have giant screen. I I'm trying to like tone down my imagination because I can see this thing being like a crazy thing, but to understand for it to be a crazy thing, we don't have technology to support such a crazy thing. So
they're
this
gonna
will
have to
probably
start digging
be,
in that vault though. Once they start running out of content,
yeah, yeah.
we gonna see Song of the South on there.
No, no.
And Dumbo.
So we're bringing back Sound of the South, and we understand, guys. We won't bring it back as is original. We're gonna remake it. We're gonna make it sounds the Deep South or whatever. So yeah, we'll see. Again, this is an investment. We're not gonna see this for years. Maybe it's 2024, maybe 2027, maybe probably 2028. I don't know. We'll see. Um, All right, so the last little bit of news is that her Ubisoft CEO defends Skull and Bones $70 price despite its live service leanings, calling it quadruple A. This comes to us from VGC by way of Chris Scullion. There's not really much to say other than yes, Ubisoft CEO Yves Guillemot had called Skull and Bones a quadruple A game, which is insane because Sean, you
Mhm.
played that game in one of the betas. There's an open beta out right now. And Sean, would you describe Skull and Bones, at least your experience, as a quadruple A game?
So the portion that I played, now that I can talk about it, now that it's out, hell no. So DJ and Avery used to argue over this game a lot. A majority of the time, you're the boat, at least as far as they let us play.
Yeah.
You have hub worlds, but there is no combat on the hub worlds.
Yeah.
Um, I've heard it described as the Division, but with boats and friends.
Mhm. Mhm.
I said I could see playing it if it was free to play, and it is not. So,
It is the opposite of free to play. You need to pay the most to play it.
I want to say, does it have microtransactions? I don't know.
It says at least in that the title, it's live service leaning. So there probably is a store in. I mean, because like most of the Activision games have some kind of store in them where you have to pay for something to get a
Yeah.
skin or whatever.
So it is a live action game, but will also add microtransactions and battle passes and such on top of that as time goes on. Wait, is this the same? Did you pull this from Forbes? No, you pulled this from
Nah, this is
VGC.
from VGC.
I'm
The one I
looking at the
pulled from.
Forbes, but I mean, it's basically the
Okay.
same thing. He's saying it's a very big game. Fortnite is a big game. Look how much they're making off of that by
Yeah.
expanding access. I don't like microtransactions like that, but I mean, in the case of a game like this, and then you got Helldivers that just came out at $40 and it's selling like gangbusters.
Yeah. I mean,
I
I think I think is there a reality where Skull and Bones can come out and it could be a fun time that surprisingly draws people in? Sure.
Everybody doesn't want to play a pirate game, and because it's a pirate game and it's not free, you're limited once again, like Red Dead Online. You're limited in the scope of what you could do with microtransactions and additions to this game. You're
Yeah.
not gonna draw in a massive what is
I
what is
think
it?
I think the issue is, I mean, there's a lot of issues when you talk about Skull and Bones, but I think one of the issues is just looking at the whole it being a live service game.
Hmm.
When a person pays $70 for this game, download the game, open the game up, put it in the console, whatever, turn it on, and see if there's a store in the game where you can buy stuff. It's
Yeah.
like, but wait, I just spent full price for this game. Like, why do I have to buy stuff? Like, Helldivers has a battle pass. Like, yeah, there's a battle pass in Helldivers too, but the game's
It's
also
$40.
$40. And like, and yeah, and the battle pass you get, you can complete it by just playing the game. It's gonna take you a little longer to complete it, but like it's still doable. And it's just like on top of all of that, like when you look at Helldivers, the first one came out to like pretty good like reviews and stuff. The game was fun. It built up a like cult following, and then Helldivers 2, we see that, and the big change that did was make it from an isometric view to a third person view, and like that was for the better. So like the news on Helldivers only got better, whereas when we first saw Skull and Bones back in like 1808, we are just like, what is this game? And then it just got delayed, it came back out again, and it's like, oh, this is happening in 2001, okay. And then it got delayed again, and it's happening, and it's like, oh, it's 2020 and we're in the pandemic, Skull and Bones, all right. And then we get it now, it's
This
just
would have
like,
done wonderful if it was released during the pandemic. They missed their boat.
I see what you did there.
So I'm looking at the Kotaku review and they're saying it's kind of meh. It's kind of like the
Yeah.
Division. The public hub is a safe zone where you can't hurt anybody. You can't jump. I don't remember being able to run. Uh, it's
I can be a pirate and can't jump. Bullshit.
I don't know. I mean, like you can't fight anybody on foot, so it's only
Right.
on on the ships. And I don't know what it's like once you get a bigger boat, but I know you had to just basically gather materials when you were playing
Hmm.
it. And the way you gather materials is it looks like a little timing based mini game that kind of pops up on the screen. So it's not like you see your crewmates hop out and start chopping down trees. You're not even like visually seeing the person chop down a tree or going to pickaxe some rocks or gather jewels, whatever. It's literally you pull up alongside a tree, this saw graphic pops up with there's zones, yellow,
Yeah.
green zone, and you basically time
Yeah.
your button press to get more or less resources. Same thing with the pickaxe, you time your pickaxe, but you're not actually seeing this stuff. You just see it pop up in your inventory.
Mm,
What
that's
this game was
disappointing.
supposed to came out in 2018. I played it last year. What did they spend all this money and time with? Like, if you saw the number of support studios when the game first starts up, I don't know what it looks like now.
Hmm.
It was ridiculous.
Probably less because those studios got let go. But
Well,
yeah.
yeah.
But like it's crazy. It's crazy that this game took an eternity to come out to it releasing in the state that it did. Um, all of this is just crazy. The game's gonna come out and we're gonna not talk about it by like March, maybe April. We'll give it a month, but like, yeah, we're just gonna move on as an industry because that's things that happen, especially when the game's
Ah,
not good. We just
here it was. So it was Ubisoft Singapore.
mm,
Uh, give me a second. Uh, I just seen it. Ubisoft. It was way more than this.
yeah,
Ubisoft Belgrade, Ubisoft Berlin, Ubisoft Chengdu, Ubisoft Kiev, Ubisoft Montreal, Ubisoft Mumbai, Ubisoft Paris, Ubisoft Philippines, Ubisoft Pune, Ubisoft Shanghai, and there was much more when I played the beta.
wow.
At least 30 studios flashed across the screen. What did y'all spend?
And so yeah, we'll wrap up on this because like
Yeah.
we're just digging Ubisoft further in a hole. But I'm just gonna go ahead and just put the dirt on it by saying like this is just Ubisoft's mo because they've just constantly made not great decisions. The best decision that they made was this Prince of Persia game, and it literally surprised everyone because the last couple of games, the last slate of games Ubisoft puts out is either a Assassin's Creed or whatever, and it's just like it doesn't. I
I
don't know.
want to
Like
say that
I'm.
they put out a statement saying that they're going to actually make good games recently. They're going to focus on
Oh
making good.
yeah, yeah.
What?
That happened this week. We'll
What was y'all
see.
making
We'll
before?
see.
I will say
Great
the
question,
graphics look great
John.
in this game, though. The creative characters, they look awesome.
Yeah.
I will give it that.
Just create a character, turn the game off, and take it back.
Hey, man.
All right. So yeah, that's and then the last thing I wanted to say is give a shout out to the IGN workers who have begun to start the process of unionizing. So that's awesome. Congratulations, guys. Hopefully that either gets certified and that becomes a thing for you guys. But that's awesome. All right, well, that's it for the game news. Let us talk about the games we've been playing. Sean, what have you been playing?
Infinite wealth and only infinite wealth.
Mm-hmm.
It's funny. The game design is no. The enemy placement could use some work because there was a gated off area for the next portion of the story, and you had to kind of get through this gauntlet of enemies.
Mm-hmm.
And right next to the entrance, I didn't even realize the entrance was like kind of to the side of where I was looking. A majority of the enemies are like level 10, 11, but then there's like a dude standing there kind of off to the side and he's like level 18, and he whooped my ass the first time I played. So I'm like, damn, all right, let me go spend some time leveling up. And I level up to a level like 20, 21. Finally beat him, only to realize, oh, the door was right here. I only needed to be about level 10 or 11. At least that was
What?
that was the enemies levels like for that area, and like
Yeah.
in the dungeon, for lack of a better word, that I was gonna proceed through. So
So
I
they just had
am
a really hard guy just to
kind of off to the side if
yeah.
you wanted to deal with him, and I just, was like, oh, he beat my ass. I'll be back for you. So I sat there and did a whole bunch of like side missions. I upgraded my weapon to like plus 16. I got all the good shit,
Hey, hey.
and then
You felt the disrespect and you could not let that go. Okay.
and
So
I
you
just
trained up and you came back and you beat his ass and then you just progressed to the story.
I steamrolled through the rest of like that section on
Yes.
just hilarious. Um,
That is hilarious.
but I'm enjoying it. My only
Mhm.
complaint is that I'm hearing Kiryu in English, and it's just a tragedy. I wish they had like an option to
Oh.
just have him speaking in Japanese and the rest of the cast don't
Oh,
speak English. Yeah,
right, right, because he wouldn't even be able to do that.
I'm sure they can do
Huh.
something. I mean, it's just odd to hear him speaking in English. Like it was
Right.
fine in Like a Dragon 7. Spoilers: the game came out a couple years back. You should have played it by now. He
Mhm.
pops up in 7 speaking English, and I was like, damn. I wish I could have heard him in Japanese. You hear people from the old games, and it's like all the old games are all subtitled. They weren't in English, so to hear
Oh, okay.
their
That's
voices
super
now,
jarring for you then.
yeah. So I'm like, I've heard them for the past 7 games
Yeah.
in Japanese. I'm like, ugh, what is this?
Who is this man?
Yeah. But past that, I can see why this game got a perfect 40, and it's getting tens across the board from a lot of places.
Mm,
It just There's a massive amount of things to do. You got your Sujimon, which is your Pokemon knockoff. I
mhm.
haven't gotten to the Dondoko Island or whatever. That's supposed to be an Animal
Okay.
Crossing knockoff. They have
Yeah.
Sicko Snap, which is kind of like Pokemon Snap. You're riding a trolley and taking pictures of perverts across the city. You have your, I don't know what the hell I want to call this, Crazy Taxi Uber Eats knockoff, where you're picking up pizza and burgers and sushi and delivering it to people,
Yeah.
standing around. Like there is a lot. Of course, they still have all their gambling. So they have, I don't know if they have pool. I haven't come across that yet, but they have darts. They have mahjong. They have uh jogi,
I don't
something
know what
like
that is. Yeah.
that.
Okay.
Everything is in this game. The
And
story is
then
good.
like
Huh?
are you required to do any of that stuff or is just like you're free to do it, you get some money for it that can help you
Um,
buy items or
some of it may be required, like the Sujimon thing, because it's a job that you unlock, so you have to do like the first
okay.
couple missions, which is fine.
Okay.
And then like
Yeah.
after you beat the first of the Elite Four, Elite Five, or whatever, you don't have to play it if you don't want to. I think
Okay.
I didn't get far enough. So I mean, they have you try everything once just to see, like, so you don't ignore it because you might like it, and here's a whole
Exactly. Yeah.
portion of the game that you missed. Um,
Okay.
the party, the story building, world building is pretty good. Like instead of just having exposition dumps, there are portions on the map where your party members will start talking about something about the past or something that they like, or their
Mhm.
favorite thing, and you can skip it if you want. Or they have intentional spots where you can press a button and they'll start talking, and that will build their trust and camaraderie. They also have a aloha link system where like you just wave and do
Yeah.
aloha to people on the island, and if you become friends with people, they'll give you items, they'll give you potions, quote unquote potions, but I mean they're food potions, whatever.
Yeah. Okay.
Um, if you build your camaraderie up with your party mates, they'll do extra attacks or whatever. So if you knock somebody, to knock somebody over, they'll come and follow up, or they'll do
Yeah.
team attacks, stuff
I
like that.
remember
So
that from the first Like a Dragon and being like, that's really cool.
this has been expanded. Like they got people like doing double attacks, just like you're not using any MP quote unquote mental points, or like sometimes they'll just do things just to help
Yeah,
you out. Like it's interesting, and
that's awesome.
it's the reason why I haven't bought Helldivers. I'm
Yeah,
trying to get through as much of this as I can before Final Fantasy comes out, because this is a massive game.
yeah. So, speaking of Final Fantasy, I played the demo for Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. Um, I, before I talk about my experience with the demo, I'm just gonna say I am not a Final Fantasy VII person. I watched my friends play it when I was younger. I did play Final Fantasy VII Remake. I enjoyed my time with that game. The ending was very, very strange in Kingdom Hearts, and I don't remember much about what happened in the end of that game to know, be like, all right, this is where we are. This is what's happening. The start of the demo, I'm just gonna play the trailer. The start of the demo did a very good job of reminding you about the things that happened in, Final Fantasy VII Remake, and like the kind of um the where it puts you, like it gives you context for the demo that's taking place. And essentially, while Cloud, Tifa, Barrett, and that, Aerith, that group is driving away from the city. I don't remember the name of the city. Um, Cloud is giving them an update on his memory of Sephiroth and like so on and so forth. And that's where the demo starts. It's like a flashback.
Hmm.
Um, so in this demo, you play as Cloud and Sephiroth, and I think this is the first time you ever get to actually experience the game from Sephiroth's point of view in terms of playing as him. And he is he's OP. Like he is that dude. Like his sword is like 9 feet long, and you feel every inch. Okay. And yeah, and you're just slicing up people or slicing up monsters and stuff, and it's just like, yeah, man, that's crazy. Um, for me, it's really weird to because I just finished Baldur's Gate 3, and like to me, Baldur's Gate 3 is the probably the game of
Gold
the
standard.
generation. Like, yeah, it's yeah. So I the story of Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, the story that's being told to you, I think it's really cool, but it is very anime-ish in terms of this thing happens. So, from at least from Sephiroth's perspective, this thing happens, so I'm gonna be evil immediately, and I'm gonna do these terrible things. And it's just like, bro, what are you doing? Like, we were vibe like because you play as Cloud, of course, as well. So you're like, we were vibing, like we were fighting things together. We were cool. This Sephiroth went to his library and started reading about who he actually is and so on and so
Oh
forth.
wow,
And
that
that
is an
like,
interesting character design. I'm looking at the videos.
yeah, yeah. I'll
The
get to the
dude with the
graphics.
bones on his face or whatever. Whatever
Oh
the hell
yeah,
is
yeah,
that?
yeah.
Ooh.
So like, yeah, so just from a story perspective, it was just like, all right, man, things are happening. I guess this has to happen to push us forward to Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. Fine. I was like, all right, whatever, man. Like, okay. Combat wise, it's very similar to Final Fantasy VII Remake. So I think the only addition in this game is, as you said, in Infinite Wealth, like there's going to be like team up attacks that you can do. And in the demo, you actually trigger one of these team up attacks with Sephiroth, and it's pretty cool. It looks flashy as hell. Um, beyond that, uh, there's not really much to say about the combat because it's pretty much the same. Visuals is interesting in this game. The the backgrounds, the cinematics look amazing. The
Hmm.
in-game character models don't look amazing. It looks very much so like
Last gen.
not last gen. It's like they try to make the models as pretty as possible in this art style of anime face.
Hmm.
But when it comes to them talking, their mouths moving, it feels very
Dead.
archaic in terms of only this part of their face moves when they're talking. It's just like, what's happening up here? Like there was a
I think I
line
felt that
from
way with Final Fantasy 16 or whatever the hell just came out that we just played.
yeah.
I
Yeah.
felt
Yeah.
similar.
No, no, yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah. That's a good point. Like that's it's that same kind of facial animations happening there. It's like this does not feel
Yeah.
great. But then like the next scene, like there's like effects and stuff happening. Like, oh well, that's pretty. All right, whatever, that's fine. We'll just move on. But like, yeah, the visual quality is it fluctuates and it fluctuates a lot. Where like you go and you see the actual NPCs and they're just there. Like there was not much effort put in some of them. Of course, the people you talk to look a lot better. But yeah, I ended that demo confused with Sephiroth doing the things that he did at the end of that demo.
Mm.
And like it's like I'm gonna play Final Fantasy 7 Rebirth, but I
You
at
don't
this
have to
point I
play it.
don't I want to. I want to experience that game because I know it's such a great game, and I know there's like I know it's going to get into things like the one winged angel. That song is supposed to be like OP, and it's like even more OP because of Sephiroth and so on and so forth. So like I'm interested. It's just that it could be me like a personal thing because it's like I just finished this like immaculate story of Baldur's Gate 3, and like I'm just like oh, I need to sit down for a little bit. And then I'm playing this and I'm just like, oh, this ain't it. But
Mm.
the combat is cool. So, and like, I'm a person for combat. So if the combat's cool, I'll play it and I'll enjoy the combat at least and figure out the story after. Then just to end this, Helldivers 2. Bought Helldivers 2. That game is so much fun. Uh, there, what needs to be said about that game that hasn't been already said online? That game right now, it surpassed God of War, becoming PlayStation's biggest Steam launch yet.
Mm.
That makes sense because it's a multiplayer game. It's at $40 as well, so of course it's gonna
No brainer.
beat a
Yeah.
single player game. Yeah, that makes sense. Helldivers 2. If you don't know what this game is, you play as literally a patriotic grunt, and your whole job is to be an NPC from Starship Troopers, where like you're going to these alien planets and just shooting bugs, doing missions, and saying hurrah as you do it or whatever. The game's the aesthetic of that game is nailed so well from the tutorial, like that sergeant kind of guy that's giving you these orders and you're doing all this stuff and he making jokes while you're doing it and then you have to salute the flag at the end. Like they nail that aesthetic so well. And then the game itself, again, the NPCs don't look great, but when you're actually on the planets destroying the bugs, that stuff looks amazing.
Mm.
And then gameplay, when you're actually fighting, there is so many different mechanics that you have to be aware of all the time where this game is definitely not an arcade shooter. Like you don't just jump in, shoot bugs and move on. Like you have to be cognizant of your bullets, you have to manually reload your gun. When you throw a grenade, you
Wow.
switch over to your grenade and throw it. You have to switch back to your gun. Like they do all these things to if you remember this stuff, you'll do great. If you don't remember any of this stuff, you're gonna die.
You're
And
gonna have
like
a bad
when you
time.
die, say what?
So you're gonna have a bad time.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, like, it's not necessarily a bad time. It's still a fun experience because when you get got, you're like, oh, I died. And then if you're playing solo, then you'll just respawn immediately. You'll have a drop pod come down, boom, hit the ground, and your soldier's back. But if you're playing with a person, they have to bring you back by doing a stratagem, which is like an ability. And to actually access the ability, you have to press a sequence of D-pad directions to actually call it down.
Mm.
So the more you play the game, the better, the quicker you get at doing those D-pad like directions. But it could be a thing of you do it, you mess up one thing, and you're like, crap, I gotta do it again. So you go do it again. You're all while you're fighting bugs and stuff, trying to get like distance to do all this stuff. So it becomes a chaotic mess of ensuring you have enough distance to do these things, making sure you're killing bugs, and always watching your back because you never know what's going to be, behind you around the corner, or whatever. So it's so much fun. I played with Cam and like two other randos online. We had such a great time, and it's if this
Now that I'm looking at this, I'm gonna simplify it like an asshole. This is basically zombies with bugs on a different planet
it's
with powers.
I would say yes, but no, in that zombies is more arcade than this. Like there is like watching it, there's a lot of stuff that you're not necessarily experiencing to be like, oh, this is like your movement is you're a normal person. Like you have a stamina bar. Once you add a stamina, you're gonna be jogging a little bit. Um, your dive, you have no iframes when you dive. Like when you dive, you hit the ground. If you dive from too far and hit the ground, you take a little bit of damage. Like there's a
Hey,
lot of stuff that grounds you, but like in terms of the killing and stuff and leveling, it does feel like zombies in that like you're doing these things.
hmm.
Um, yeah, I think I was gonna play a trailer, but if you want
Nah.
yeah, I don't need to do that. So yeah, like that's pretty much it. Like that, I'm having such a great time with that game. Um, right now, I do have to say, right now, the multiplayer or matchmaking is borked completely. So it is almost impossible, if not impossible, very, very difficult to find an online match. Like I sat down and looked for a match for about maybe 5 whole minutes. Couldn't find anything. So I just played a game single player. So like they need to nail that because right now that is the biggest issue this game has. So be aware that the matchmaking right now is not working. If you're interested in this game, definitely wait until that gets an update before you jump in, or you can just jump in and play the game single player. It's a little harder, but if you're interested, you're interested. Um, so that's it. That's it for us. We did it.
Okay.
All right. We hope you enjoyed this episode as much as we enjoy making it. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell. Don't forget to leave us a review on Apple Podcasts or podcast services if you are listening to us. And don't forget, you can join our Discord at pressx.com/Discord. And have a great day. Enjoy the games you're playing. If it's Sunday, if you're watching the Super Bowl, enjoy the Super Bowl. Hope your team wins or lose. I don't know. I don't really watch football that be like. So, it is what it is.
Super
You gonna
Bowl.
say bye or no?
No.
Oh, all right. Well, bye guys.